I went to therapy for years. I had a great woman who helped me through a lot of stuff. I think the work I do has helped me be more mentally healthy because it's given me an opportunity to kind of live into aspects of myself that I'm not going to be in my life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Unwrapped podcast. I'm your host, Emily Vogel, and we are here with your incredible co host, Andy Ortiz. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing okay, friend. I am happy to be back with you. I saw you a month ago, but it feels like 8,000 years have passed since then. So I'm happy to be here talking to you now. Otherwise, there's a lot going on. It's very very hard watching all of the footage and images that are coming out from the fires that are happening in Los Angeles. It's just heartbreaking to see. The good news is my friends and loved ones that are in LA, I've been able to check in with most of them. They are all safe. They are evacuated if they need to be evacuated. Everyone is out of harm's way as far as I know. Obviously, things change rapidly though, so it is very very nerve-wracking to watch from afar. Obviously, I'm in Chicago. I know you're in New York. You must still have people in LA though. How are your people doing? Is everyone safe and good?
Yes, all of my people, their animals, everyone is good. It's just so devastating. It's hard to be watching from across the country. But my thoughts and my prayers go out to everyone who's affected. Whether you have loved ones there or friends there, if you're there, my heart is with you, and we are here for you.
Truly, it's like seeing something out of an apocalyptic movie. It's one of those things that you don't really believe, could happen. I mean, obviously, it could happen, but there's something different about seeing it. It really is just, there's no other word for it but devastating. So we are thinking of you. We are sending you our love. If you want to be up to date on everything going on with the fires, whether you are in LA or you just want to be informed, we have a lot of really, really great coverage over on TheWrap.com right now. You can check it out. You can get the latest. You can see what's been affected, what's changing, how all of the updates. We have it all for you there.
Yeah, and I do have to shout out our editor in chief, Sharon Waxman, wrote the most touching and moving and incredible article about the Palisades and the fires and everything that's going on. Both of my parents separately texted me links to the articles and said that it brought them to tears. So please check out that article, check out all the information, and we hope we can bring you all the up to date things that are going on, so we can stay safe.
We have people on the ground. Wrap employees are safe. The Wrap offices are closed. Everyone is doing everything they can to stay vigilant and stay secure. But our reporting is on the ground, is up close. So I will say that the images you're going to see are, again, devastating. There's really no other word for it. It's very very hard, but it is some really really great coverage happening right now. I'm very very proud of my colleagues, while also worried sick for them. There's a lot of feelings happening right now, including just like it's like weird to be here, right? Like it's so nice to be back with you, Emily, and to be doing this, and that's like the weird part of the job, right? Is we have to continue on, but also it's nice. We have a little bit of escapism for you here. Hopefully, if you need a little bit of joy, we can bring that to you.
Yes, hopefully we can bring you some joy. As Andy mentioned, last month we were together at the Raps Power Women Summit, which was just incredible. It is always such an amazing feeling to be in a room surrounded by so many epic women. We encourage you while you're on thewrap.com to check out all of our coverage from the summit. You can also check out videos, full videos from all of the sessions on the Raps YouTube page as well, where Andy got to moderate a few panels as well.
I
Um,
did.
on the site, you'll be able to see, everything from our keynote with Jordan Childs, conversations between Laura Dern and Stacey Abrams, conversations between Ellen Dakota Fanning. And Andy, tell them about some of the panels you moderated.
Yes, I moderated our actresses roundtable, which was just incredible. I don't think I've ever felt so much love on a stage before. It was Catherine Hahn, Kaylee Reese, June Squibb, Judith Light. I was just overjoyed to be there. I also moderated our art. That's a hard combination of words. Our art of adaptation panel, which was all about adapting different, IPs into movies, or, adapting characters on stage. We had Ariana Madix on that panel. She talked about making her Broadway debut in Chicago, the show, not the city, and obviously adapting Love Island. We had the screenwriter of Wicked. We had the producer of Gladiator. It was absolutely incredible women. And I'm biased, but I agree with Emily. I would very much encourage you to check those out, if only to get a little bit of advice. Like, these women are just so smart, and they've got some really great information to pass on, and they just willingly did it. And we are grateful to them for doing so. I love the Power Women Summit. I really do. It's my favorite event that we have.
Well, speaking of incredible women, we have an exciting episode of Unwrapped today. This episode of Unwrapped is sponsored by Fox, and it features the amazing Molly Parker, who is the star of the new Fox medical drama doc. You can also, if you probably already have seen, the amazing digital cover that went out earlier this week.
So good. So stunning.
She's incredible. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, or any spoilers at all. But the show is all about a well-respected, incredible doctor played by Molly, who gets in a car accident and then suffers amnesia, where she can't remember the last 8 years of her life. So it's all about navigating grief, relationships. It's between the past and the present tense. And I think it's very different than any other medical drama I've ever seen, and I highly recommend checking it out.
I would also recommend checking out The Conversation, which, if you're here, that's probably why you're here. So why don't I get that for you?
Let's roll it.
Molly, hello. Welcome to Unwrap. Happy New Year. We are so excited to have you with us. We're so excited to talk to you about Doc, your new show. But before we do any of that, I start every single interview the exact same way. A very important question. How are you today? Genuinely, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. That's the truth.
Good. I love to hear it. I'm so happy that you're with us. Let's get into it.
Well, what are you looking forward to this new year? You have a new show. What else is coming up in 2025?
So I'm actually talking to you from Newcastle in the northeast of England. My husband is from here. He grew up here, and his daughter is here, and she's about to have a baby any day. It's actually overdue. So we're here to welcome our first grandchild.
Overdue. I'm now convinced we're gonna get a call from like the other room here in a second, where it's like, Molly, time to go. The baby's coming. Woo!
Yeah, she's gonna be at the hospital telling them what to do after this show. Do you know yet what you want to be called? Are you gonna be a grandma, a Gigi?
Yeah, I'm gonna be Poppy, and there's a story around it, but that's the my husband's dad was called Pops. He wants to be Pops. And so, I get access to this great family through him. So I've decided to be Poppy.
That's so cute. We're going to Pops and Poppy's house. Come on. That's so cute.
A little English accent.
Oh my God, they're going to be pretty. Little British babies running around. You got a lot to look forward to in 2025.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
All right, let's really dive in deep now, because the show is Doc. We have seen some of the episodes. It's so fun. And I'm really curious for you, like, when you get this across your desk, right? There are a lot of medical shows in the world. There are a lot of shows that you have probably watched, and there are more medical shows still to come, I'm certain. So what about this one stands out to you? What makes it different? What makes you say, yeah, I want to be part of this?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like getting to do a medical show. That's sort of not where it came from. But when Barbie, who wrote the show, Barbie Klingman, approached me, look, this is a kind of dream part for an actor, because she's not just one person. Like, she's the her in the present. So just quickly, like, this is about a woman who, is this great, brilliant doctor. She loses 8 years of her memory. She has this tragic brain injury from a car accident, and she wakes up, she can't remember these 8 years. She thinks that she's still married to the love of her life. She thinks she still has this like perfect family. And I've always been interested in characters who we meet at the moment when they lose everything. Like, that's the moment when you kind of have to decide, like, am I just gonna lie down and give up and die, or am I going to change? And this part, she's more than just one side of this character. She's really complicated, and we get to know her in the present. We get to know who she was in the past, and it's almost like there's 2 or 3 or 4 different versions of this woman. And I think when they all become integrated, we kind of get to see this full complex woman. So that's what it was for me.
Well, and one thing I really like about the character, and it was an interesting phenomenon as I was watching, is like I want to root for her because like this horrible thing has happened to her, and it's hard to see anyone go through that, and so it's like you're rooting for her. You want her to get her job back. You want her to get her memories back. All of these things. But
Mhm.
as you get more into it, and we're not going to go too heavy on spoilers here. We want people to go in pure. But as you get more into it, you learn very quickly that like she wasn't necessarily universally beloved. She had flaws to her. She is a flawed character, at least to some people. And I have to imagine for you as an actress, like that's yummy to dig into, to know that like you want to root for her. And as an actor, you have to, right? You have to always find something you love about your characters and root for them. But at her core, like she is, at least on some level, she's a flawed woman with how she treats people.
Yeah, and I think one of the, I think truthfully, that those kinds of characters weren't allowed in television, certainly not network television, for a long time. Like when I was coming up, those parts weren't available for women. And I feel like we have, in the last, 10 years, there has been this real shift in the kind of storytelling that we are now allowed to do in TV. And I think we're going to see that reflected in this show. So that was exactly what it was for me. It was like, here was a woman who I don't have to make her likable every second for this show to work. Like she could be truly flawed and human and complicated and wrong sometimes. And we're still going to be interested in her story. And I think, when we get to see like the breadth of people, that's when people feel the most connected to storytelling, I think.
100%.
I think, touching on that is with your character, we do see someone so real and who's not perfect and who's going through things. And I think one of the main things that we see her go through 2 times is, the loss of a child and portraying that. And I'm curious, stepping into a role like that, I was recently I was watching a show or reading a book, and they were saying, it's crazy how there's like the word widow if you lose a spouse, and an orphan if you lose a parent. But in the English language, there's no word for someone who loses a child because it's just such an unbearable thing to even imagine. Can you talk about stepping into that side of things? Obviously, getting into a role of being a doctor, but then also, you have such complex relationships with the members of your family and that particular storyline.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I have never thought about that before, but it's absolutely true that we don't have a word for that. I have to tell you that previous to coming to this role, I had sort of said to myself, I'm not playing the mother of dead children anymore. And I have this is a storyline. If you are an actor who works in drama, it comes up, and it's hard. It's really it costs something. I guess in this case, I felt like it was such a fresh take on grief. Like grief is definitely one of the themes of the show, and this is a woman who grieved or didn't grieve the first time around in a way that changed her. She kind of she gave what I really think is that basically the best she could do was not die. That's what I really think, if I'm honest. And I think she probably would have, but she has another child, and because of that, she's going to keep it together the best she can. And the way she can do that is just to go to work and work. That's the best she can do. But she's like an amputee. Like she's like, except that it's emotional. Like, so she's cut off this sort of vulnerable, emotional, maternal part of herself and just shut it down. And it's it's hard and it's interesting. So then in the present tense, she gets the second chance. It's not a chance to live her life over again, but it is a chance to change her perception, to grieve in a different way, to have a different experience.
Now, and I think that's so thoughtful. I think, again, she is also suffering from amnesia, and I'm curious how on that side of things, so that's, personally how she was going through things, but how so like on the physical medical side was how were you able to prepare for that in terms of like did you go to hospitals? Did you speak with amnesia patients? I know you mentioned that there was a medical expert on the set.
Yeah. How did I do the research for this role? I mean, I read a lot. I watched some documentaries about people who suffer different forms of memory loss. It's, I'm sort of fascinated with memory loss. In fact, I probably did more research on that and less on actually playing a doctor, which maybe I should have thought about a little more because, it's tricky. But in many ways, it makes the show a mystery. It makes her a mystery to herself. And so the audience gets to kind of like discover her as she's discovering herself. What really was tricky, and I'm thinking as we're talking, like anybody listening to this would be like, what? It sounds like there's 2 or 3 versions of this woman, and there kind of are. And I had to like, the first couple episodes, especially, I had like a map in my trailer of cue cards, kind of like I know this here and I don't know this here, but it does all kind of come together.
Well, and in that sense, what you notice about it as it does come together, there are and I want to stick to I want to talk about the research you did on memory loss just because I have so much memory loss, but that feels like veering into like therapy conversation, so I will save it. But I want to know what you learned. But as it's all coming together, what I felt, at least in watching it, was that there is like core elements to I believe to any person. I think there are core elements, core pieces of just who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And for her, that one of those core elements was her family. Another core element was wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious for you, what did you come back to? Like what was the piece that was either your North Star or like this is if you come back, this is your home base, this is what needs to be present regardless of where she is in the timeline. This is the thing that needs to be present in every scene of her that we see.
Yeah. So I agree completely. And I also, when I was trying to figure out who this woman was, I also was sort of like, well, who is she in all of these circumstances? One of the things that she is it's the kind of brain that she has. And some of the research that I did do as a doctor, like about being a doctor, was really I sort of there's a whole online there's a professor on YouTube. Of course, you can learn almost anything on YouTube, but it's kind of like first year medical student course, and it's very much about the systematized way that doctors think and diagnose. So as an internal medicine doctor, this woman is this brilliant diagnostician. And so I was really curious about like, well, what makes somebody good at that? Why is one person good at that and someone else? And it's really this combination of intuition and just this really systematized way of checking things off, and so I did try to bring that to her. She's much more that kind of thinker than a sort of emotionally centered thinking feeling person. Certainly when we first meet her, I think she has a sense of humor. I think even when she's kind of nasty, she's a little bit funny. I think that, I think also there's this thing of self-sufficiency. I think she's like an incredibly competent, self-sufficient woman. It's one of the challenges that is brought to her when she loses her memory is that not only does she become a patient in a hospital where she was the doctor, but she doesn't remember her life. She's dependent upon other people, the people around her, to tell her who she's been, what she's done,
Which
how she
seems horrifying. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, but that seems terrifying.
really scary, like really scary. There's a documentary that I watched. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's called Tell Me Who I Am, but I could have that wrong. And it's about these two brothers, and one of them has a car accident and has total amnesia at like 18, never gets his memory back. And his brother, he depends on his brother to teach him who he is, like all of their shared history, all of that. It's quite tragic and dark, but just that dynamic of it just really left me with this idea, this feeling of like that is such a vulnerable place to be, and particularly in Amy's situation where she discovers like she's not who she thought she was. Who she was when her life was great is not who she became when her life got hard.
I'm sorry. I thought of this on the fly, but I need to ask, and I want to ask both of you this one. I am so curious. This is such an impossible question to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you had to pick someone in your life to trust to fill you in, like if you were to get amnesia and you needed someone in your life to fill you in on like who you are as a person, who would be that person for you? Molly, you're like struggling.
It's so hard. That's such a hard question. Do you know what's hard about that is you realize that you are different. It's not that you're different. You are in different roles in your life. You're different as the wife, than the mother, than the worker, than and the people reflect back to you who you are. I mean, we sort of fall in love with people who reflect a version of ourselves that we want to be around, who can see us and love us. But honestly, I think, right now it would be my husband. And I think that's really because he's a person who I've always known just sees me, just loves me in all my many forms.
Good. Emily, who would it be for you? I feel like you're going to say your sister.
I know that's like when you came up with that question, I was in my head was like exactly, Molly, everything you were saying. Because at first I was like, my mom, my sister, my dad, like I don't know, because it's like I'm different. Like to my sister, I don't know if I want to hear that I was like the annoying sister, but I'm like, oh, do I want to be like the bratty daughter? Like I don't know. I'm like in my head, I'm like, who would give me the best review?
Who knows the best version of you? That's an interesting question.
Yeah. Well, a metaphor for that would be like, I'm all about like good low light now. Like, I'm not sure I don't want really good light in the bathroom. I don't need to see exactly what I look like. I need to leave thinking I look great. So maybe we want people to just like reinforce the best parts of ourselves.
I love that so much. Speaking like I love the show as well because obviously we love a medical drama, but it's also deals with like mental health as well. And I think people are now realizing that mental health is just as important as physical health. Like if you get an injury, you go to the doctor and you get it fixed. And I think people are, I'm going to work on my mental health as well. So I'm curious, personally for you, what are some ways that you are able to take care of your mental health?
Yeah. Absolutely. Mental health is, and I've definitely known, gosh, how can I put this? Like therapy. I went to therapy for years. I had a great woman who helped me through a lot of stuff. I think the work I do has helped me be more mentally healthy because it's given me an opportunity to kind of live into aspects of myself that I'm not going to be in my life. And at this point, I think just like really taking time, solitude is really important to me. I need time alone. Like I need to be quiet, to be in touch with how I'm really doing. I can very much get caught into just like a constant doing mentality. So I need that time to kind of stop.
I respect it. And I love that we got therapy into the conversation on our first one of the year. Molly, we are big advocates of therapy here. We are very much into taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do. And especially with this character, man, I can't imagine the mental, wow, my Midwest popped out on that word imagine. Can't imagine the mental toll that it takes on you. And we could ask you 1,000 more questions about it, but unfortunately we don't want to take up your whole day. You're with your family. So with that, we are going to say goodbye. But Molly, thank you so much for joining us today. We love you. We love the show. Doc, it's on Fox. Check it out. It's a weekly release. So it's it's the style of television where you don't have to just sit down and watch it all in one sitting. And Molly, thank you so much. Happy New Year. We appreciate you.
It's also going to be on Hulu kind of the day after, so you can watch it all at once they're all out. So
that's true. If binging is your style, we are not going to judge you for that one. You can absolutely do what you're going to do.
Thanks so much, both of you. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
There you have it. First Unwrapped episode of 2025. What is it the kids are saying? We are so back. God, that makes me sound 1,000 years old, but we're back and we are very happy to be back.
We're back, baby. What a way to kick off Unwrapped for 2025. Shout out to our amazing guest, Molly, first guest of the year, killed it. And also shout out to our sponsor for this episode of Unwrapped, which is Fox. We love you, Fox.
We do. We love you. We appreciate you. Molly, we love and appreciate you too. I'm really, again, I can't say it enough. I'm really excited to be back with you, Emily. Hopefully we won't take as long of a break. I know life happens though. Scheduling happens. So hopefully we will be back to you with another episode very soon. In the meantime, guys, please stay safe. Please be looking out for each other. Check in on your loved ones. And it's a lot, and we know it's a lot, and we are thinking of you. And if you need anything, please, don't be afraid to reach out. And of course, as we mentioned before, there is a lot of information on what's happening with these fires over at TheWrap.com. So if you want to be informed, up to date, check it all out over there.
Thank you all so much. Again, our thoughts and prayers go out to you all, and we hope to be back soon.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Love you.